The program will work directly with Supervisor Mitchell to bring well-being centers to South LA high schools and provide better reproduction resources for women. Although Parham's next event is not planned yet, she says whatever she plans to do will depend on whatever her community needs. The family of Rodriguez and the community will continue to fight for the arrest of Gonzalez, as well as continue to demand that Long Beach USD remove officers and all weapons from schools. She wants to remind people that while many are enjoying Thanksgiving dinner with their loved ones, they should also remember the indigenous children that will not be able to go home to their families. Reporting from Los Angeles, I'm Celine Stevens. Thousands flocked to SoFi Stadium for the Super Bowl. However, with any mega event comes the threat of terrorism. Evan Wagley is a Marine interdiction agent for the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. He said his agency is the first and last line of defense on the coast.
We're patrolling anywhere between Newport Beach and up even past Malibu, and it's really our goal to stop any of those threats that would be coming from offshore.
Air and Marine Operations is just one component of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, one of the world's biggest law enforcement organizations.
We have technologies and big expensive toys that we're able to use for protecting the people that are here as tourists for the Super Bowl.
Brandon Tucker directs the Air and Marine Operations in San Diego. He said on the day of the game, they issued a temporary flight restriction area around the stadium.
And any small aircraft, slow aircraft that looks like it's going to break the boundary or enter that TFR, we'll join up on it with our Black Hawk helicopters and investigate the situation.
Tucker said fans wouldn't even notice their aircraft in the sky on game day.
We're using fixed-wing surveillance aircraft up high. You won't see them, you won't hear them, but they'll be there.
Despite the huge crowds, fans like Robin Runser didn't seem too worried about potential threats.
There could be concerns, being LA and a big, wonderful area, but no, I'm confident.
The Department of Homeland Security recently released a bulletin indicating that the U.S. remains in a heightened threat environment. One of the contributing factors is the continued calls for violence aimed at mass gatherings and soft targets. However, Tucker didn't elaborate.
I wouldn't comment on that specifically, but we're prepared for anything.
The next high-profile events coming to SoFi Stadium will be the World Cup and the Olympics. The Air and Marine Operations are expected to begin planning for these events in the next few months. Reporting from Inglewood for Valley View News, I'm Celine Stevens.
And I hope that my sister gets the justice that she deserves.
Community members went to the Long Beach Unified School District Board meeting demanding that school safety officer Eddie Gonzalez face justice. Gonzalez shot and killed 18-year-old Mona Rodriguez near Millikan High School on September 27th. The incident reopened the debate about having armed police on school campuses. Ivan Garcia was one of many who spoke at the board meeting.
We don't want to have students living in fear because there's somebody with a gun on campus.
He thinks that armed school officers are unnecessary. Meanwhile, substitute teacher Kevin Yeager agrees with Garcia and has an idea for a solution.
The huge amount of money that goes into our school safety officers could be reinvested into counselors and other support services that would benefit our students more than having guns and weapons on campus.
During the gathering, an announcement came that the school board made a decision regarding Gonzalez.
Eddie F. Gonzalez has been fired.
Although the crowd cheered, some said they wanted more action. Community member Ijame Medal argues that police presence is rarely needed.
We don't need cops in school. We don't need cops in churches. We don't need cops anywhere, to be really honest. What are they doing?
However, others like Katie Clark, member of Long Beach Parents United, says she needs more information.
The loss of a life is always terrible, especially in this case as a young woman, but we need to wait. We need to wait and see the truth of the story.
The family of Rodriguez and the community will continue to fight for the arrest of Gonzalez, as well as continue to demand that Long Beach USD remove officers and all weapons from schools. Reporting from Long Beach for Valley View News, I'm Celine Stevens. For Indigenous communities, Thanksgiving was a national day of mourning. This past Thanksgiving, Yvette Sochia and a few Indigenous women organized what they called the first annual March for Freedom for Indigenous children in detention.
We will be making stops throughout the night to rest. We have elders and we have children. That's why we have a caravan.
President Biden stated he would end the use of private prisons for all forms of detention. However, the executive order he signed excluded immigrant detention centers. Sochia says they must fight for those who've been separated from their families and detained.
While we honor the dead, we must fight for the living.
The 4-day-long march began at the Pueblo Historical Monument and concluded at San Diego's Otay Mesa Detention Center. Co-organizer Celine Ramirez said it's vital to demand the release of the children immediately.
We're not going to wait around 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now to find our children being dug up near these encampments.
Co-founder of the Indigenous Alliance movement, Clear Bear, said that for many Indigenous peoples, Thanksgiving is a grim reminder of America's past.
Arguably the greatest genocide in human history happened in the Americas, and it is at least talked about. And every time we celebrate this holiday, it's disrespecting our people.
So it starts with the youth, and today the most oppressed are inside cages.
She wants to remind people that while many are enjoying Thanksgiving dinner with their loved ones, they should also remember the Indigenous children that will not be able to go home to their families. Reporting from Los Angeles, I'm Celine Stevens.
Defund the police!
Defunding the police has become a popular topic as the amount of victims of police violence continues to grow. Lead organizer of West LA for Black Lives, Janae Lennox, held an informative rally about defunding the police in front of the Culver City Hall.
All these systems are rooted in enslavement and punishment, and really, especially for Black people and then, marginalized people. And that's the system's history, that's the system itself.
Member of the Culver City Action Network, Noah Zatz, was one of the rally's supporters. He says there are many situations that should not even require police presence.
People who are on the street and unhoused, and those are all situations that fundamentally don't call for a response from someone with a gun.
However, not everyone agrees with defunding the police. Robert Zergulis was one of several Blue Lives Matter supporters outside the city's police department counter-protesting.
We're here to support our police against these people who I would call cop haters and race baiters that are trying to defund our police by 50%.
The Culver City Council will be discussing the budget and hearing recommendations from the public regarding public safety during a council meeting this week. Reporting from Culver City, I'm Celine Stevens.
We cannot have any sort of change if you don't acknowledge a problem. And we got a problem.
Supporters gathered in Leimert Park for the Women's Leadership Project's second annual rally to stand for Black girls and fight to end rape culture and sexual violence.
African American girls have some of the highest rates of sexual violence, sexual harassment, sex trafficking, and domestic and intimate partner violence in the nation.
Hutchinson founded the project to educate young women in South LA schools. She said everyone should learn about the sexual violence and abuse experienced by women of African descent.
Black girls!
Corinne Baptiste believes these rallies remind everyone how much sexual abuse affects Black women.
When you think of sexual assault, you don't think of Black women, you think of white women. And that's what a lot of media and police really focus on.
And I'm not only standing with Black girls, my job is to protect Black girls.
The program will work directly with Supervisor Mitchell to bring well-being centers to South LA high schools and provide better reproduction resources for women. Reporting from Leimert Park, I'm Celine Stevens.